I first started making beats on my PlayStation, I had a game called MTV Music Generator. So I was like, what's this? I was about like 16 at the time, you know what I mean? I was in high school still. And I was already a hip hop head, bro. Like I was already far gone as a kid of like hip hop mania, you know what I mean? And so I started making beats, and I was like, you know, it was kind of like a step sequencer, you know what I mean? Placing, cut and pasting things, copy paste. So I was making beats for a few weeks, like a couple months maybe. It was all right. My beats were all right, you know what I mean? And then I'm scrolling through the menu, and I see a record button. And I was like, what does this mean? You know what I mean? So I just press it. I press the button just to see what it is. I know what the button looks like. I'm like, because I was recording tapes and stuff. So I was like, that's a record button. What's it recording? So I pressed the button, bro. It says insert audio CD. It said take the game out and put an audio CD in. And I was like, what the hell? That's weird. Let me try. I put in a rap CD, like Rough Riders Volume 1 or something. And I'm playing, and then I see the record button again. I hit it, and I do it a couple times, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now. You know what I mean? So put the game back in. I'm scrolling through my sounds, and then start saying sample 1, sample 2. And I was like, what? I pressed the button. Samples. Like, I didn't know what sampling was, bro. Like, I didn't know. Like, I was just making beats with like default keyboard sounds, like weak drums, but I was like getting the concept of like kicks, snare, pianos, add a bass line, things like that. But I figured out sampling, bro. Like no one taught me it, you know what I mean? Like I just didn't know. I was already a hip hop head, but I didn't really know how they were making beats. So like I'd be making my beats, and I'm like, my shit doesn't sound like Premiere or Mobb Deep. Like, what is the difference? Like, these are all the drum sounds. Like, we all use the same sounds. Is what I thought. You know what I mean? Yeah. After that, bro, it was over, man. I was just like digging for samples all day, man. And for my process of making beats on that PlayStation is how I still do stuff now. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like chopping, because I'm on Pro Tools now, so I'm mainly like, well, I got an MPC also. I got a couple MPCs, but mainly on Pro Tools, I'm like chopping on there, mixing within there, sequencing everything in there. And it was just a more high-tech version of what the PlayStation was. And now it's like Pro Tools is like PlayStation on like acid, you know what I mean? Like, it was like boosted on steroids for me. Like, but that was the main thing. Once I figured out how to sample, bro, like, I know that's like a basic element in everyone's thing, but like, no one taught me what sampling was, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know all these sounds were coming from other records and different things. So stumbling on it myself was like mind blowing. I was like, oh shit. And I started stealing like Big Daddy Kane drums like that. Marley Marl used to leave drum breaks open on his shit. And I for some reason, I remember like tracks where he left drums open for some reason. So I was like, yo, you got the Big Daddy Kane, like, you got It's a Big Daddy Thing CD. Pop that in, found the song. Just looping up Marley Marl break, you know what I mean? Like, mad toy, you know what I mean? Like, but back in the day, like, that was like, what are you doing? That's off limits. Like, you can't sample it. Nowadays, people were sampling anything, man. But like, as a kid, I felt guilty. I'd be lying, acting like I had the drum break. Like, yeah, I got the record. I was a little kid, man. But yeah, just discovering that whole thing, like, everything changed after that. After learning how to sample, and you know, I was just digging for records all the time. After that, I got an MPC. Like, I got a year or two after I got an MPC, and I was just like, it was just this clockwork, you know what I mean? I was just still doing. I learned all the basic concepts of producing on the PlayStation, so that I learned everything off there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still learning new things. Like, I just got the MPC Studio. I've been had it for a while, but I got the new software now, so I'm like, all right, let me get back on this, because I used to have a 2000 XL. I still got it, but I don't really use it as much no more. My shift button broke, so that's a major button. Like, you need that button for everything you do. But yeah, man, with figuring out sampling, and just after that, I was just so hungry, man. Like, I could spend like 12 hours straight making beats. Like, the thing is too, I had home studies. I was in high school, but I got switched into home studies because I was like flunking out. You know what I mean? I was a horrible student. So I'd have full, like, I had to go to school for 1 hour a week as like a 17-year-old. You know what I mean? So all my time home was making beats, learning beats, you know what I mean? Like figuring it out, trying to hear where samples from. This is before the internet too, so I couldn't just like log online. You know what I mean? Like, where did DJ Premier get these drums from? I couldn't do that back then. It was really like, all right, I got to ride the bus to the record store, find some records. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'm going to look for it, and I'm going to come back home, listen to it, read their samples, and it was just that. Like, that's all I was doing, you know what I mean? Like, tell my parents for money, you know what I mean? Like, hey, let me get some money so I go to the record store. They were like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't even know. They probably didn't realize I'd be still doing this shit, you know what I mean? Like, after a certain time, my mom was like, you got to get rid of these records. It's too many. You know what I mean? Like, it's too many in here. And I was like, nah, I need these, you know what I mean? And like years later, bro, like years and years later, man, my mom seen something on the news about like vinyl making a comeback. It's worth a lot. So my mom was happy, like, your records, they're worth a lot. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was telling you back then. You said to throw them away, you know what I mean? It's funny, man. It's funny. I was definitely like you, bro. Like, I was like vinyl. But even now with how easy it is to like grab these like rare shit like you can find on YouTube that you'd never find in the record store, it still makes the digging even more valuable to me now. Like, it's even more important because I know these other dudes is only like on YouTube. They ain't really in the record stores. A lot of these records ain't on YouTube, you know what I mean? Like, that's why it's funny when you see like 12 different producers with the same like $100 record that you know they don't got, you know what I mean? But it's still like, if you got the record though, like, you know, that's respectable, man. I'm a collector too, like, so it just means more, man, when I'm holding a record versus like I'm sharing an MP3, you know what I mean? It's just different, man. It's different when you got that record from like 1971, you know, like versus when you see that 1971 record cover on YouTube. Just the feeling ain't there. You don't even cherish it as much, man. Like, we scroll through some shit, like if we had on physical record, we would never just click past it like how we do. You know what I mean? It's like, whatever. We find something out there. It's just so easy, man. But it also makes it, like I said, it makes the vinyl that much more better to me, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always looking. Like right now, I can't really hit the record stores like I want, man. But that's the best shit, man. You're gonna find something in dollar bin that people are like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, don't trip. You wouldn't know. You know what I mean? Like, but that's I love vinyl, but I'm also like, I'm not against like sampling from YouTube or sampling from something else. You know what I mean? I'm not really at that type of. At one point, I was like an elitist like that. Like, no, you can't do that. You can only sample from the original record. Like, you can't sample the repress. That's weak. You know what I mean? Like, I just realized, like, man, you know what? It's too much. Like, I'm passing up on so much music, trying to be like so elitist about it that I have to kind of like just go back to square one, just being open, like not really questioning or having like standards of what I can't sample, you know, because I used to be like that. Like, I can't sample, that was just released last year. You can't sample that, you know what I mean? Like, now it's like dudes are sampling someone else sampling a sample. You know what I mean? So it's like anything goes now. So as long as it's dope, you know, like, but I'm always trying to find what people don't got. Obviously, that's always, you know, all real record diggers, producers like got that. They don't want the record someone got. You know what I mean? Like, it's always the hunt. You know what I mean? And that hunt is different in person than hunting on YouTube. You know what I mean? You're on YouTube clicking, like you're not even moving. In real life, you're like driving miles to the record store, like you're probably not finding it, driving miles to another one, wasting gas, you know what I mean? And it's a whole thing, but you could do that a bunch of times. You could do that like 50 times in a row, not catch shit. You're still gonna keep going. But then when you get that one, it was all worth it. You know what I mean? It was all worth it. Like 3 years of finding bullshit was worth it for that. Like 2 bars sample on a hot beat. You know what I mean? Like, everyone feels like it's always worth it when you're just digging in person, man. Like all these YouTube things, click, delete, you know what I mean? No, you don't really care about them, you know what I mean? Even if it's the dopest song, We still like, I'll get it later. But ain't no one ever threw out some records, you know what I mean? Like, I got doubles of this record. Throw that one out. Nah, man. Record collectors keep their shit, you know what I mean? Like,